Crouse.
Congratulations on the film.
Hey, thanks.
Tell me a little bit about what makes this. In my review, I call it the most Canadian Wild West movie ever made. Tell me what you think makes it the most Canadian Wild West film ever made.
Well, I think,
or if you agree,
to start with, it's set in Canada, so that that makes it unique,
right,
in the Western genre. I don't know. I kind of think of it like a Western where everybody's cross-eyed. It's sort of like, there's the spaghetti Western that's very iconic, and this is kind of the rigatoni Western. It's a little off.
Well, I thought it sort of pointed out the subtle ways that Canadians and Americans deal with one another. Your character, the Montana kid, shows up kind of unexpectedly in this one-horse town. He doesn't know where he is until he's told that he's landed in Canada. We don't really want to say why he's there because it'll give away a cool joke at the beginning of the film, I think. Yeah. But I thought that as he comes to sort of find his nobility, that it's the very thing that makes him noble is sort of the Canadianness of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is yet another installment in the long-running conspiracy to undermine the American mythology and ultimately convert them to our way of thinking. We are indeed a much better, nicer, gentler people, and they will eventually become that if we just keep at them long enough. I think that's...
Let's hope it works this time.
It is sort of the theory of it. At the center of it, I guess, it's such a strain in a lot of stuff that we do. In the more boring way, we kind of define ourselves as not being like our neighbors to the south. But I think it's also a source of great comedy. And I think when you take these two mythologies, one of them being, the mythology of the American West, it really is mythology. There's no history to actually back this up. They were no more lawless or less lawless than we were. Right. But immigrants out of Eastern Europe invented this in Hollywood, this fantastic genre called the Western, which they've now embraced as being their actual history. And that's, I suppose, the truth of the mythology, because it does capture something about that American frontier spirit. You really can't do much with that mythology in Canada because we don't have that. It's really purely theirs, I think. And our mythology, a kind of comfort mythology of being relentlessly polite and nice and accommodating and thoughtful and sensible and reasonable people, nonviolent for the most part, is also kind of a myth. So you take these two great myths and you have them rubbed together, and the friction of that is always very funny. I think it's the source of the friction in Due South as well. So there is these antecedents to something like Gunless or stuff that's in that terrain.
Right. Well, I thought as I was watching, very definitely we're seeing, I don't know if it's a send-up of the Sergio Leone movies. I think of the very beginning of the film when the brands Once Upon a Time in the West and then it's crossed out in North is injected in there. And, obviously it's the name of a Sergio Leone film. Yeah. But it also, it says to me that we're not taking this genre terribly seriously.
Right, yeah.
That was the signal it sent to me.
Well, that's good, and that's what we want everyone to go in there with, with the license to have fun with it, because it is playing around with the genre and a mythology that really isn't ours.
Right.
But we understand it. We all understand the Western. And I think one of the reasons we love it is that it is all the complexity of drama kind of distilled down to its bare essentials, a sort of Manichaean good, bad, and good. That can be all sorted out.
Someone's wearing a white hat. Someone's wearing a black hat. And that's pretty much all you need to know.
Yeah, and that goes way back in our dramatic history. That comes out of the mystery cycles in medieval Europe. That kind of thing is around. And I think that what Bill Phillips did, who's a writer and the director, just took it, particularly with the script, he did a great job in kind of taking all of that and just spinning it a little bit.
Well, it's an interesting film because it starts off with a lot of slapstick. I have to say you do probably the greatest face plant in the history of Canadian cinema.
Yes!
At one point during the film. But then it morphs into something else. And the parts of the movie that really grabbed me, there's a scene, again, without giving anything away, there's a scene much later on in the film where you have repaired a gun and you're in your little shack of a room and you're twirling the gun, you're staring at a mirror, and I thought, this could be a scene out of Unforgiven. the scene that we're seeing here. So the movie veers in tone from slapstick comedy to romance to this kind of character study of a man who is looking at all the blood that he has on his hands, wondering, how do I wash this off? Can I ever wash this off? How do I live my life and try and reconcile that with how do I go forward in my life while reconciling it with my past? And I thought that the movie is kind of skillful in the way that it weaves all that together. Was there ever a question for you when you first read the script? Because the first few pages is like, oh, funny. Oh, wait, now what's happening?
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Oh, what is this?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. In fact, when I read it, I thought, yeah, that's great. Bill's got it. You can veer in tone pretty subtly if you're skillful with it, you know, and I think he did a terrific job of putting these two things together, and it's a testament to his interest that we have characters that have some real underpinnings. So it isn't just a movie where, oh, hilarious, my tongue got stuck to a cold pole. Now my bum's stuck to a cold pole. You know, like it has stuff in between it, which I think goes to support the comedy. It makes it actually richer in the longer run. And I think we also have a cast that supports that. I mean, Sienna Guillory is luminously beautiful, completely insane, by the way. No, I really.
How so?
Oh my God, she's just nuts. No, I absolutely adore her. She's hugely talented and great, but brought to it this real kind of drive for a sort of humanity and a reality with her character. And I think, you know, all of this stuff is a bit of a give and take. What it makes it a little bit difficult when you're shooting it is just finding the pitch, like trying to find out, well, what is a tone, and where do we pitch that tone? Because if it's too gaggy on one side, then the weightier stuff won't hold. If it's too weighty on one side, the gag stuff won't play. And it's trying to find the balance in between that. And that I think it was really what I loved about the whole process, where the cast was great. They would wander all over the place. They were fearless. They would try different things. We'd work away at it in rehearsals, and you go, okay, that's it. Yeah, let's try it.
Richard Crouse.